Hey, welcome to Scooby-Topia. It's been a minute since I last made a video, but I needed a good vacation from the channel to fully rest and recuperate properly this time. Now that I'm back for another, I think it's about time we get to one of the videos I've been promising for months now. I mean, I promised this one like half a year ago now, isn't that scary? Yes, we are returning to the miniseries looking at the What's New era of Scooby-Doo direct-to-video movies, of which we're so close to being done with, and this time it's the penultimate film we need to look at, Chill Out, Scooby-Doo.
Grab a snowboard and shred some snow for one epic adventure. Look for Chill Out, Scooby-Doo, the all-new original movie, soon on DVD.
Released at the very end of summer in 2007, this was the 11th film in the DTV Scooby world overall, and it has a continuity connection to the first What's New movie, so you might want to have seen the video on Loch Ness before this one. The film was dedicated to Iwao Takamoto, the iconic Hanna-Barbera character designer who gave visual life to the gang in the 60s, and unfortunately passed away 7 months prior to the premiere of the film. It was also the final Scooby film to be produced by Joseph Barbera himself before he passed away in December of 2006. Shaggy also alludes to this film at the end of the previous film, Pirates Ahoy, which is some fun future continuity itself. As of this opening, I haven't seen any of this film since it came out, which means maybe in 15 or 16 years, so I'm going into things pretty fresh with everyone on this one. I don't know what to expect, because I found this one pretty boring as a kid and that's why I never watched it again. Same with the following two movies, this is where they lost me until the reboot with Abracadabra Doo. By this point in the era, we also lost out on any meaningful bonus features I feel we need to talk about, so no fun there. Let's shake things up and just get right into revisiting this chilly adventure.
Looks like we've got a mystery on our hands.
The movie titles open with us chilled in the Himalayan snow, with our monstrous Yeti pulling them away and leaving his giant footprints in a path toward his cave, which does have an actual dead body inside. The Yeti, of course, is said to be native to this area in its actual mythology, going by that or the Abominable Snowman as it was later coined. Like Nessie before, many have tried to prove the existence of the creature through visual evidence over the decades in videos and photos, or plaster casts of the large footprints. It typically gets compared to the American myth of Bigfoot for their similarities, but like its American cousin or Scottish friend, you might have a hard time truly proving it's out there.
It was late in the afternoon on November the 8th, 1951. They came across a set of huge footprints.
The mystery footprints were about 12 inches long and 5 inches wide. Shipton even had the presence of mind to use his own ice axe to give a sense of scale.
The Sherpas knew exactly what they were. Yeti footprints.
Another member of the Shipton team, Tom Bordelon, saw the footprints a few days later. And when he wrote a letter home, he used the memorable phrase, "The abominable snowman is not a myth." Shipton's picture made headlines around the globe. Back in the 1950s, respectable adventurers were taken at their word. This iconic photograph marked a new beginning, and Yeti Mania was born.
We meet Professor Jeffries, voiced by Alfred Molina, who's found the last marker he needs to get to Shangri-La. His guide Pemba insists going further is forbidden, but as the professor says they're alone anyway, the footprints reveal otherwise. Despite Pemba's urging, the professor cuts their cord and heads in alone, disappearing as the Yeti reveals itself from the storm, causing Pemba to fall and barely save himself as he sees the creature go back to the mountain. Meanwhile, the gang is in Paris.
We were in Paris. Isn't it romantic, Freddy?
Oh man, I think I'm in love. This new cell phone rocks. It's got high-def video, an MP3 player, even satellite GPS. I'm like totally geeking.
Velma tells the others about the Abominable Snowman sighting, but Daphne tears the paper away to keep mysteries out of this trip. The boys, meanwhile, find themselves on a plane to Mount Everest instead of right behind the others. That's right, we've got another mainly Shaggy and Scooby solo adventure. Do with that what you will. Leading the trip is Alphonse Lefleur, in search of the Yeti, as an obvious reference to Jacques Lefleur of the 1987 Bigfoot comedy film Harry and the Hendersons, with pretty identical character beats. The boys ask for assistance and he comes out in a fake tour guide costume to keep up the charade. With the lure of treats, he gets them in a crate and throws them out of the plane, jumping with his own parachute after them. Getting caught on a ledge, Fred calls them up enough to hear their danger, and Daphne suggests tracking him with his GPS. Velma puts two and two together, realizing they're going to have a run with the Yeti to Daphne's disappointment, as her vacation is called off per usual to make their way to the boys. On their end, they fall and begin sliding everywhere, while the professor has returned safely with Pemba, more motivated than ever now.
And it's right up there, just waiting for me. I mean, for us.
of course.
Pemba warns him again that everyone is leaving in fear, while his sister Minga comes up not believing the story of the creature with how often he'd teased her about it as kids. The boys finally collide with this part of the story with a rough landing, disturbing the High Lama, a parody of the Dalai Lama, similar to the one in the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and he's voiced by Everything Everywhere All at Once star James Hong. The boys accept their welcome, but there's nothing like a phone for them to call back the others. Scooby goofs his way into a terrifying statue spook, where they're told sacrifices are made to the creature, but the professor has his eyes on the crystal set to protect them with its power instead. Alphonse returns with his innocent act, and Minga suggests calling their friends from the weather station. Pemba forbids her from taking them for safety, so the rest of them decide to join instead. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang is lost.
What can you tell us about this abdominal snowman?
It's pronounced abominable.
Oh, a bumba-bibble. A bumba-bibble. A bimba-bubble.
Film explains the creature, its Yeti nickname, and footprints, and I would have loved a National Geographic bonus feature about it like they used to do for the first few of these.
So the Yeti and the subliminal snowman are the same thing?
Not subliminal, Fred. A boobidiball. A bamboo-bit. A bamboo-bit. Oh, now you've got me all mixed up.
As the boys and their new comrades make their trek, Alphonse offers them plenty of Scooby snacks, so they check what the professor brought and find TNT.
His equipment's not the only thing around here that's sensitive.
Yeah, sensitive.
As the Yeti watches from above, I'm pretty sure it's going to turn out to be Minga, since she's the only one who stayed behind. Not really anyone else with the opportunity so far. I genuinely don't know since it's been so long. Who here thinks it's Minga right now? To make her even more suspicious, she turns out to have followed them all this way to warn them about the weather she heard of on the radio. Or as Pemba reveals, the weather station where the weatherman fancies himself a DJ, who she must have a crush on. A storm does indeed come, and they have to set up camp where they stand. That night they hear the roar, and Alphonse tries to get the boys out to help him, as much as they really don't want to. I guess this movie is outlawed in Florida now. Alphonse finally reveals his trap and hunter identity to the boys, who by now are very tired of being monster bait, but they're just too good at it because there he is. Of course, they end up running through the traps as we get one of the fun songs for the first chase scene of the movie.
So if you wanna survive this crazy mountain alive, you better run just as fast as you can.
We see some fun costumes too, like Shaggy Claus and Scooby Rudolph here. Pemba finally comes out and gets caught in a trap, while the boys fall and hide from what turns out to be a familiar face. Turns out they're back with Del Chilman, who they met back in Scotland during the Loch Ness Monster Caper. I do apologize for comparing him to Ronaldo from Steven Universe, because while apt, Del is a likable character. Sorry, Del. They hitch a ride with him, though Alphonse is convinced they'll still work as bait. Inside the weather station, Del gives the boys hot chocolate to warm them up, explaining that he switched to trying to prove the Yeti exists when Nessie never showed up. Turns out he's the wannabe disc jockey Minga's always listening to. He reveals the letter he got signed from his #1 fan that keeps him going through the loneliness, and he offers to let them have fun taking over while he goes to get the others left behind.
Now remember, that monster is still out there somewhere. So while I'm gone, whatever you do not open this door.
The gang finally arrive, only to first see there's no signal, and second find they've been abandoned out of fear of the Yeti. They follow the Scooby snacks and footprints to find the boys must be in the mountains, while they just have fun rocking out. We get a great reference to Casey Kasem's legendary career as a radio DJ himself outside of voicing Shaggy, with him doing his actual radio voice here.
You want to hear my radio voice? Like, put down your snow shovel and pick up that thin air guitar. It's time to stay in and rock out.
Of course, the loud music draws out the creature.
Daphne, freeze.
I'm way ahead of you, sister.
No, freeze, as in don't move.
They must belong to the adorable snowman.
Velma notices the footprints don't sink into the snow as far as their own, which makes no sense, but they hear and save Pemba before they can think too much. Looking around, it seems the professor left alone, and Minga is nowhere to be found, leaving only her precious radio behind, suggesting her capture.
Oh, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
The radio comes on where they hear the boys doing the DJ job and figure out where to find them, but it turns out the Yeti also knew where to find them.
Hang on, folks. I've just been handed this important bulletin. Like, oh!
And thus, the chase begins.
A table for one, Monsieur?
As the boys get trapped high up, the radio dies out to the horror of the gang. Pemba decides to leave and search the cave for his sister, so Fred decides to split everyone up, but to his shock, Daphne goes with Pemba.
You can pair up with Velma this time.
Lucky me.
Interesting. Old Alphonse, meanwhile, comes in to try and save the boys, but mainly capture the snowman, which is a losing battle unfortunately. But the boys hitch a ride with a balloon. The gang runs into Dell and catch each other up, and while the boys are missing, they find another clue for where to look. Daphne in the cave stumbles upon the clue of an empty helium tank, while the tanks the boys have also run low. They land among the gravestones of the spirits created by the High Lama, revealing they've made it to Shangri-La. The other trio finds the source of the underground vibrations outside and put a plan into motion. Trying to find a bathroom to wash up in, the boys take in the paintings, mistaking the Yeti for the scariest. Their escape attempt lands them in a minecart where they finally reunite with their friends.
Don't even think about it.
It seems like there's another explosion, and Daphne with Pimba both make it to join the others in the chaos. Deeper in, they find the professor setting TNT up everywhere, the real cause of all the explosions and vibrations, to be able to steal away the crystals inside the cave. Everyone sets up a classic Fred trap, and Jeffries is quickly caught as everyone concludes he's become the snowman to scare everyone away. That is until Shaggy points out Big, White, and Harry is above them. As a chase ensues, the professor frees himself and our second chase song kicks in while he separates everyone to get his treasure, successful as even the Yeti jumps to safety. The others safely land and come up with a new plan, while Shaggy teases the professor who collides with the ghastly Yeti. Now in the dark, the boys light a candle, but unfortunately just like in Mind Your Own Business, it's the dynamite. Scooby gets them some makeshift boards to escape the avalanche they create, while Del and the others finish up their slope trap. Of course, the boys land in the trap instead. Professor prepares for his win by ridding himself of the Yeti, but as he looks back, he finds himself still falling right into the trap. Del and Velma try to save the day as the avalanche reaches them, and as it seems they might not survive, the Yeti jumps in to grab the both of them, taking a deep breath and flying away. Velma immediately catches on, unmasking the creature as the suit deflates, and exposed under all the fur and armature is Minga. The helium tanks from the weather station filled her costume, allowing her to climb easily, and why the footprints were so light. Turns out she just wants to listen to Del as his #1 fan, and hoped she could convince him to stay by bringing the Yeti to life for him.
Wow! That's so... I mean, it's real cool, Mama.
The professor of course just used the convenience of it showing up to get him some crystals. Alphonse reveals he survived, and because the Yeti, very much real he insists, saved him from certain death. Del appreciates the sort of romantic gesture from Minga, but doesn't know what to do next, so Daphne chimes in. Everyone goes to Paris to finish their vacation. Well, at least most of them, as this time, Fred got on the wrong plane. Everyone hauls back in the van, now headed for the Amazon jungle. And that's basically the movie. I feel like this will be the shortest video in this miniseries to date because I really just don't have anything to say about it. That's why I probably wouldn't have done this one if there wasn't such demand to finish the rest of these. I will say it was better than I remember it being. Not nearly as boring, but I did find it a little slow at times. Del was a really enjoyable character this time as well. Didn't feel as out of place as he sometimes did in Loch Ness. I wish he had come back again along with Minga because they're sweet together. I did enjoy the voice of the French chef from The Little Mermaid as Alphonse. Alfred Molina was serviceable, as were the other guest stars. This one feels like the cast is a little less to talk about in contrast to the ones before and after, but they get the job done. The animation is good, not really anything off-model terribly, and the CG for 99% of the movie is used the way it should be whenever implemented. I think the Yeti was used serviceably as well. It looks like a Yeti, it acts like a Yeti. It's not a weird Monster of Mexico situation where it's confused as to what it's even supposed to be. It is in fact the Abominable Snowman, and it's in the area it's known to be from, so we're all good. It's even a little bit impressive how detailed the design of the creature is at times. I'd say it's a little obvious Minga is behind it, I guessed it pretty early, and the professor isn't all that intimidating as a secondary villain as far as these movies go, so it does feel like a smaller adventure in a way. Shangri-La is also just kind of weirdly dropped once the boys get there. The chase scene songs are fun, the music score is about what you would expect, there are a few good laughs I included throughout the breakdown. I don't know, I just don't have anything to add to the discussion on this one and I feel out of place tackling it. There are plenty of other iconic snow ghosts of Scooby-Doo, like, well, the Snow Ghost, but those will probably be better served on their own. Out of the 6 movies we've seen so far, I would personally put it near the bottom of my tier list for the What's New era, just above Goblin King dead last for me, because I'd still gladly watch this one again over that. What do you think of this particular Scooby-Doo Scooby-Doo feature film? Is this one of your underrated favorites, or do you also not care for it? We for sure need further discussion in the comments because for once, I'm the one with nothing to add. This little series is definitely running out of juice at this point. I don't even have the usual amount of segments or anything. This is just the bare bones experience. Good thing we only have one of these left. Next time, at least I assume it'll be the next video, I'll be tackling the final movie in the What's New era, which is one I actually have seen more recently and have ideas for actual discussion on. I can't tell you when that will be, but hopefully before 2023 is over. Who can say? If you liked this video, hit the like button and subscribe and all that stuff. And there are 5 other videos in this series for you to watch if you haven't yet, along with my whole channel of content. Follow me on social medias if you want, I guess. Social media is kind of abominable these days though. I will be seeing you next time in Scooby-Topia. Bye!